17 to 14. Cowboys out in front. Starr begins the count. Takes the snap.
Pass is picked off, and who is it? Big B.J. Raji for the touchdown. Pump fake. Wallace picked off. Nick Collins. Nick Collins on the return inside the 10. Leaps for the touchdown.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Packers Total Access post-game show. My name is Clayton. You can check us out at packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you'd like to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. And the Packers come away here out of Buffalo with a tough loss, 27-17. I got to be completely upfront and honest. I didn't think they would keep it that close. So, it didn't feel like it was that close the majority of the game. But as things kind of wound down and the defense adjusted, and of course Buffalo kind of went into their 4-minute offense a little bit early, in my opinion. I had to go back and look at the tape, but for me, it seemed like they took their foot off the throttle a bit. But the Packers really battled back, and the story of the day for me, it's real simple. You were without your top 3 wide receivers. Allen Lazard was out. Randall Cobb was out. Early in the first quarter, Christian Watson goes out. He goes into concussion protocol. Thoughts and prayers go out to him. Hopefully everything's good there. He did walk off, so that looked good at first. When you seen the neck kind of bend, it got me a little bit concerned because, anytime you deal with neck injuries, we've seen it time and time again, with Jermichael Finley and Nick Collins and on and on and on. It just – you don't want to see that for any player, much less a young player just getting his career off and running. So let's do this. Let's just kind of dive in. We're going to keep an eye on Twitter to see if and when Matt LaFleur comes to the podium, as well as Aaron Rodgers, maybe hear from them a bit. I'm flying solo as of right now. There may be others jump on here in a little bit, and if they do, then we will, of course, kind of check in with them and see what they thought of the game. But the plan is to tomorrow evening go live with Coach Hahn. And we're going to do a little bit of a game review and kind of talk about, okay, how did the game end up in the position it was in, right? And more or less, it's going to be a podcast and a video, a show, if you will, of how the game flowed, right? And that's the whole purpose of that show. We're going to give that a shot and see if you guys like that content. And just any way we can kind of mix things up and bring you guys a little bit more value. That's what we're planning on doing. So, all right, with that being said, there's a tweet by Andy Herman here that really summed everything up for me. He tweeted out just a few minutes ago. He said, this is Andy Herman on Twitter, at Andy Herman NFL. He said, if you would have told me the Packers put up almost 400 yards of offense, held Josh Allen to 13 of 25 passing for 218, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, won the turnover battle, ran for over 200 yards, and won time of possession by over 7 minutes, I would have liked Green Bay's odds, but they lost by 10. And that really sums it up, man. I mean, like I said the entire night, you never really felt like, okay, Green Bay's got a shot here. But when you look at all the statistics, when you look at how everything kind of wound down, it was just big plays at crucial moments. And we're going to kind of get into, my chart and how I seen the game in real time. But honestly, the thing that stood out to me the most on defense was just run defense. And God, I don't want to say it. I say it every single week. And it just makes me come across as an a-hole trying to single a person out. But, man, Darnell Savage, dude. Darnell Savage was just so they even highlighted it in real time, went back, got one replay or what have you. And they went back and highlighted that he had C-gap responsibility, if I understood correctly. That's what Chris Collinsworth was talking about. And Chris Collinsworth was like, yeah, it's his responsibility to get in there and play the C gap. And you see it time and time again in every big play. It's like he's late to the ball. It's one of those things that when he is where he's supposed to be, he's missing tackles. And 90% of the time, he's not where he's supposed to be, period. So I don't know, man. It just it's a tough thing. I don't know, tough thing to deal with when you got your free safety playing that bad a ball. And I'm going to try not to make this too negative tonight. I mean, it's one of those games that, again, I come away feeling a little bit better about it. I was expecting them, of course, it was a 10-point spread. I think some bookies had it at 11, but I believe 10 was the number everyone settled on, 10 to 10.5. And of course, it ended up being a 10-point game. I don't look at this and go, God, the Packers played horrible. I mean, guys, Quay Walker left the game. He got ejected. Stupid bonehead play. I get it on the sideline, but he gets ejected. They lose Devondre Campbell. I mean, they were down to their backup inside linebackers, their backup wide receivers, right? Like, the offensive line was horrendous early on, and they settled in. That's really, to me, what put this game out of reach fairly early was the offensive line play. I'll say that. That's just kind of what stuck out to me. So, with that being said, let's kind of check in here. All right. In the first quarter, Jaire came out, and as you guys seen with the pregame festivities there, he and Stefon Diggs were in each other's grill from the time that they came out of the tunnel, right? And Ja came out and kind of backed it up. He did. He had a pass break up there in the first quarter. He was all over the ball. We were pounding the rock in the A and the B gap with Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon had a swing pass, and we had another swing pass to Aaron Jones. You can see they were jamming it up in there between the A and the B gap, and then using swing passes on the outside against this soft zone defense that they were running. But early on, the big thing there that kind of took the wind out of the sails, Zach Tom got his lunch ate at left guard. I mean, it was really, really bad. Then you punted the ball away. The Bills get the ball, and they just started gashing us for runs. You had a B gap run of 10 yards. You had a 32-yarder that, in my opinion, was off the right side. You could see Gary kind of stumble on that play, if I remember correctly. That was a tough play to watch there. And when Josh Allen cut the corner on the left side there in the first quarter, bearing down the end zone, and Darnell Savage missed that tackle. Darnell Savage looked like he didn't want anything to do with trying to tackle Josh Allen. And guys, as a safety, that's a problem. I understand Josh Allen's a big old boy. I get it. I mean, he's big, corn-fed. Looks like what is he, like 6'5", whatever, 230, 240, whatever he is. But as a free safety in this defense, the quarterback should be thinking, okay, I've got to be careful here. I don't want to get my legs taken out. I don't want to get my cap peeled. And Darnell Savage just looks like he was uninterested. And, me being the Savage hater that I'm kind of stepped into this role, not intentionally, but people in the chat said the same thing. I won't use the language they were using, but it was like they seen the same exact thing. It's just it's hard to watch. Now, I hated the flea flicker call there early in the game. That, to me, that just screamed desperation, right? It was, the flea flicker, and Rodgers' really only option was to throw into double coverage. Some people were saying triple coverage. To me, it felt like double coverage. And what's crazy is it was deadly accurate. It hit Dobbs right on the hands, and they just happened to get their hand on it as well, right? But the flea flicker, I don't like that play. Quay Walker came out, started to play solid, had a punch out there, caused a fumble. Of course, they ruled that Buffalo recovered. And then you had Rasul getting burnt by Diggs. That looked like a combination coverage there. I'm excited to go back and look at the tape and see exactly what happened there. But tough play there for Rasul Douglas for sure, gives up the touchdown. And to me, it looked like just kind of early on, it kind of looked like they were playing a little Belichick ball. It looked to me as if what they were trying to do was put Rasul Douglas with bracket coverage on Stefon Diggs the majority of the night, and then they had Jaire Alexander covering Gabriel Davis, right? And that's kind of an old Belichick trick right there. Double the number one receiver with your second corner, your second best corner, and some safety bracket help, and then put your number 1 corner on the number 2 receiver. And it seemed to kind of keep Allen in check. I mean, when you think about it, it didn't feel like that in the first half, but by the end of the game, you look at the numbers, it really did. We'll go to the numbers here in a little bit and kind of give you guys an idea of what happened there. But starting in the second quarter there, Aaron Jones started running the rock outside, looked good. We were kind of mixing it up, putting A.J. Dillon in the B gap. Then you had Aaron Jones in a B gap run again. And then the line just collapsed. Luckily, we had a hands to the face penalty that kind of bailed us out there. But that's when the offensive line really, really started to collapse, and it got ugly. To me, it looked like John Runyon and Zach Tom that struggled the most. But I'm eager to get back to the tape and see exactly what happened there. Aaron Jones running the ball outside. Aaron Jones back in the B gap. These are all notes I've got. Then you had the stupid penalty there by Amari Rodgers, kind of stalled things out. But then you had the touchdown pass by Aaron Rodgers to Romeo Doubs. And I'm telling you right now, it was a dot. That was a beautiful pass by Aaron Rodgers to Romeo Doubs. And it was one of those that, it was absolutely perfect placement of the ball. And, Doubs with a great circus catch, got an elbow down there in the back of the end zone. Just an excellent play all the way around. Anybody who says Aaron Rodgers has lost his accuracy is just silly. When you see that throw, and it's funny when people were commenting about it, I'm showing video after video on Twitter. I'm throwing it up there while we're watching the game. Go, okay, what about this one against the New York Jets? What about this one against the Giants? What about this one against his accuracy is still there when he has time to throw. Guys, he's playing behind a banged up offensive line. Elton Jenkins wasn't able to go again today, right? So you're without your second best offensive line. You're down to pretty much your 4th string wide receiver as your number 1, right? What do you expect the guy to do? There's only so much you can do in that situation. So, so as we moved on to the later in the second quarter, Savage, another missed tackle. There's where you had Quay with the penalty. He got ejected from the game. Next thing you know, you had Devondre Campbell leaving. And, Savage was late on the end-around touchdown there. That was. It's just like every time Savage comes into the picture, he's late every single time. And I just don't understand what it would take to try Rudy Ford or, maybe put Rudy Ford at strong safety and play Amos at free, or maybe even move Russell to free. But the glaring, obvious negative on this defense, the thing that every time a big play happens, the one constant is Darnell Savage is somewhere in the picture late every single time. And it's like, if you get beat because you're being too aggressive, I get it, right? If you get beat that way, I'm all for it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like you're playing aggressive, you're overly aggressive. I can deal with that, But when you're kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and that's exactly what you're seeing with Darnell Savage. It's like he doesn't want to commit enough to be aggressive, but at the same time, while he's playing conservative, he's still missing tackles. It's like I don't if it's going to be a failed play regardless, be aggressive. Maybe you get them off their spot, And who knows? Maybe Barry is telling him to be that conservative. I don't know. I just know for a guy who has all that athleticism, all that quickness, all that top end speed, all that change of direction, everything that you want in a good free safety, he just seems like he's playing scared. He's playing on his heels constantly. So it just keeps on popping up. And luckily, Jair Alexander there came up with a pass breakup that forced a Buffalo Bills field goal. Then as we got into the third quarter, right out the gate, holding on a kick return. Had a big kick return by Keyshawn Nixon. Bam, got hit with the holding call. Then Aaron, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he drew the defense off sides to set up a free play like he does with his hard count. And lo and behold, when he does it, man, we got Jacob in the house here. Let me crank his volume up a bit. But, Aaron Rodgers comes to the line. He gives the hard count, draws him offline. He draws him off sides and literally gets hit before he can do a chuck and duck play. and I'm going, how? And me, I'm kind of leaning back like, okay, maybe I'm being too negative. And when Chris Collinsworth says, like, I've never seen a situation where a guy gets a free play drawing the defense off sides and still gets hit. So that's one of the things in the notes here, the hit on the free play. And then, of course, Aaron Jones, huge trap play. Love the pull and guard. Great play there. Jonesy on a B-gap run. A.J. Dillon with a great cutback. And then, of course, Dillon went out briefly with an injury. And then you had Tunyon with the touchdown, but, of course, it was called a penalty. I don't know, man. Coach On in the chat pointed out, you can't just throw the defender down. And he did throw the defender down, but I always have a problem with those type of penalties simply because the defender's got his hands all over him. What's he supposed to do? Is he just supposed to run through him? Is he supposed to ignore him? So I can kind of see how on one side somebody would go, that's a ticky-tack call. But I also see on the other side, like Coach Hahn said, if you look at the rule book, it's like, yeah, you did body slam him. So, but anyway, so that's all the notes pretty much. As we get deeper into the third quarter, defensive holding there on Wilson. You can't expect much. Backup inside linebacker. Savage late coverage, missed tackle. Savage is just all over my notes. Negative. But Jacob, I want to get your take, man, just kind of generally on the game. I kind of led off with this tweet, a tweet by Andy Herman where he was talking about he laid everything out. If you had told me that we had 400 yards of total offense, we won the time of possession by 7 minutes, we won the turnover differential, we rushed for over, I think he said 200 yards? It might have been 200. Yeah, we rushed for over 200 yards. I would have said, hey, we probably
208.
Yeah, it's wild. So what do you think, man? Early
Yeah, man, honestly, it was it's hard for me to even come on this, but I question whether or not because
I didn't expect you, bro. I didn't expect you.
I didn't have anything positive to add to it. And as I saw, I watched I turned the game off for 10 minutes here and there, and then I can't help it. I look back and now I'm watching the game and watch them do that last couple drives. And it's like every single Packer game. Why can't you do what you do when the game's on the line? When your back's to the wall, all of a sudden we start performing. All of a sudden we start finding receivers. All of a sudden he starts looking at his progressions. All of a sudden Samori Toure, which I want to brag real quick. I said Samori Toure would be a guy that, someone you should look out for. I think he is better than, and I will say now, Christian Watson, I don't know, man. The guy is made of glass. He cannot stay healthy. And it's not even big hits. It's like, it's just small little things where he goes to the guy just seems like he's limp. That's got to get figured out. The guy's got to put more weight on him. That being said, we don't have Cobb, we don't have obviously Lazard, a lot of those guys, but I don't quite. This game is hard for me to diagnose because, like you said, if you look at the stat categories, I mean, where do we go? Aaron Jones. 20 carries, 143 yards, averaging 7.2. I don't know. Even A.J. Dillon, he ran 10 times for 54 yards, averaging 5.4. Dobbs is looking like the guy that we all thought he was. He's making circus catches, and it's just the fact, like, why can't we put it all together? And then this, for the first time, Jair, he's shutting guys down.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking more smack than you could ever imagine in your life. And for the first time, in my opinion, he backed it up this game. He actually started, throwing guys around, getting in their heads. You could tell Rasul got a pick. I mean, I don't quite understand how the score is the score because seemingly at the back half of the game, we played very well. It's just that initial. Hey man, I can't tell you how much I don't enjoy watching Matt LaFleur talk anymore. And
he's at the podium right now. You want me to go to it?
Let's go.
No, keep going, man. You're good.
No, I'm saying, like, because when I hear him talk, I don't feel like I'm talking to a man. I feel like I'm talking to a guy that's gotten scolded into saying what he should say. And I don't know if that makes sense, if that translates, but I don't feel like he has control of the locker room. I think that now a lot of the last episode from Mr. Pack Daddy, Ryan Schlipp, he specifically said he doesn't want people to now bubble and pile on. Gosh, when he laid out a lot of those statistics about Rodgers, the way that he's handling the team, and it's hard to not say that I'm not going to say that I want Rodgers to leave, but I will say that I'm encouraged to see a new regime come into fruition that maybe isn't afraid to just do a system, because I thought that we were getting a system quarterback. We thought we were getting an MVP that was going to run the system. All we got was an MVP that wants to take his shots. That's my opinion. And I think that we can see that through the statistics. And I love Aaron Rodgers. I'm never going to, I appreciate everything he's done for us. But at this point in his career, I think that he has a certain way that he wants to play the game, and a certain way that the Packers organization wants to play the game. And I don't think that they coincide.
Gotcha. Now, I respect your opinion. I definitely disagree.
We disagree. We definitely disagree. Me and Clayton have disagreed
about everything this year, right?
2 weeks. Yeah, well, at least hard 2 weeks now. Which, by the way, screw you guys for doing that fake argument in the chat. If you guys don't know, Clayton almost killed me. I won't go too deep. He almost, let's just say that they played a joke on us and it wasn't funny. If you're on my side, it wasn't funny.
You got to have a little fun every now and then, right?
It was really funny if you weren't on my side.
We don't have enough time on this show to explain how everything unfolded, but I will say this. As this fake argument was going on, I think I got the biggest response from Jacob coming in trying to be the peacemaker. And my response was, "What are you, a divorce lawyer?"
Dude, Aaron says, Justin goes, "Don't, dude." He goes, "You see in this? Don't get in the middle of it." And I went, "I'm going to get in the middle of it."
Justin, when Justin got led in on the joke, Justin hits me up and goes, I thought, as soon as I seen Jacob post that and you said that you made the divorce lawyer comment, I thought, oh, now you done did it. Nah, but it's all good. Let's do this. Let's go to the podium because he is the head coach. I want to hear from him. And then I'm going to kind of throw a little rebuttal at you when I come back and kind of give you my 2 cents on what you just said.
That's the kind of stuff that I have zero tolerance for. Mistakes are going to happen in this game. But losing your cool, losing your poise, putting the team in jeopardy, you got no tolerance for that.
And is today more of what you need to do offensively moving forward?
I think we got to find that balance. I was super proud of our ability to come off the football. I thought everybody was blocking hard. Tight ends, running backs, receivers, or the runners were running hard. I thought Aaron did a fantastic job getting us in and out of good looks. But I also think that we have to be able to mix it up a little bit. And what's so evident is that 4th down is a great representation of that. We ran that play earlier in the game. We were actually trying to run a toss. And if we had 2 guys outside of where we were tossing it, we canned it to the basically an inside zone. And they played cover 0, did a better job than we did, and we need a better play call.
Did that play get blown up from the outside?
It was the backside. It was the backside.
Coach, can you talk about Isaiah McDuffie's play, coming back home and getting an opportunity to play when Campbell went down there?
Yeah, no, I think Isaiah's a guy that always, you know what you're going to get from him. It's going to be 100 miles an hour, full speed ahead. He's tougher than nails. He does a great job on teams. And, when given his opportunities, he's done a nice job on defense as well. So I'll have to go back and take a peek at the film before I can give you a great assessment on how he did out there, but I thought he handled himself the right way.
He had 30 carries, 200 rushing yards tonight. You guys offensively just not have enough supporting.
All right. So before you got on, Jacob, you could hear that, right? Just now?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Before you got on, I was talking about how I feel better after this game. I do. I went into this game, when we did our picks, when the schedule was released, I was the one that was saying, I could not believe there were people in our group going, oh, no, we can beat Buffalo. I was like, how? Are we watching the same Buffalo, Kansas City? Yeah, any given Sunday. You guys know I say it till the cows come home. But if we're going to just line up these 2 teams and say, yeah, we're the better team than Buffalo, that's silly. Now, let me say this. Our number 1 receiver, Alan Lazard, which some people would say isn't even a number 1 receiver, but he's our number 1 receiver, out of the game. Our number 2 receiver, Randall Cobb, out of the game. Our number 3 receiver, Christian Watson, out after the first quarter. So now we're down to literally our fourth best wide receiver. And on the offensive line, game time scratch, Elton Jenkins, our second best offensive lineman out of the lineup, right? So how can we sit here, not saying you are, but how can anyone sit here and go, oh, yeah, we should win this game? And if the argument is, well, we should at least compete, we lost by 10 points. Like, I thought we were going to get boat race, Jacob. When I seen that point spread, I'm like, I try not to bet on the Packer games. When I seen that point spread, though, I was like, I'd be all over Buffalo right now. I really did. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, I just will say real quick, one thing that I thought, I can't remember if it was you or Ryan or somebody said that, like, we'll kind of the same thing, like, okay, we're going to lose this game, which if you look at any single indication, like, that's just realistic. We don't want it to happen, but it's just, if you're being realistic, this is what's going to happen. What Ryan said, or you said, I can't remember who it was. We want to see the fight in the second half. We want to see if we don't just bend over and we just take it. And in my opinion, as much as I hated this game and I turned it on and off, and I had it on my other screen as I'm sitting here watching something. I pretend like I'm not watching it so I can say I turned it off, but I'm completely watching it. And I'm having it out of my left eye, right? And I'm watching these things, and I'm seeing that we're doing, like, the touchdown passes to Torrey, which, again, I secretly just jacked out of my seat. I was just like, yeah, I'm not watching the game, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. Exactly. And, and it's we took little steps and we didn't give up. And we're playing against what I would say is arguably the best team in the NFL, 100%.
Yep.
You get a couple different calls, and that's what, again, made me so mad is the snaps that I saw. I watched boneheaded plays. I watched people that are out of position making dumb plays, just not capitalizing in that moment. It seems like, when you look at 27-17, you think, well, that game was – and it was. It basically was controlled by them. But we had an opportunity early in the fourth, late in the third, where we could have completely changed that game around. And we did in a certain sort of way, and that would have been much more drastic had we been that way in the beginning of the game. And that's what I'm saying is, why don't we find that? This goes back to the McCarthy age, where all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, we turn it on. We see what our offense can do. We see what our defense can do. Everybody's playing balls to the walls, but it's like, why does it only happen once the fourth quarter ticks on? And it's like, that to me then again goes back to coaching. It's like, why aren't these guys jacked up? Why aren't you getting motivated? And again, I see Matt LaFleur answer questions, and I just see, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Oh yeah, that's a great thing. And it's like, I'm not hating Matt LaFleur. I don't want his job done. And honestly, I don't think that Barry. I'd be more on the side of Barry maybe losing his job, just because. Like, what have you done? Show me what have you done for me lately compared to last season. That's not a great improvement kind of thing. But as far as LaFleur gets a pass. The guy's won 13 games for the first 3 years of his, he gets a pass for the next 3-4 years. If I'm considering, like, if I'm being honest, it's just me as a Packer fan. That being said, I don't know, man. It's just, there's something there that needs to click, and it's not clicking. And it's so weird because, like, Rodgers can be doing great, or Jones can be running for 7.2 yards per carry. And for some reason, we're not winning. We're not progressing. We're not making drives and it's just one or two plays every series. It seems to take one step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. For me, people kept saying the key to winning is running the football. You got to run the football. You got to run the football. We ran the ball 31 times for 208, averaged 6.7 yards a pop, and we lost by 10.
That's great. And that's great.
So let's take this. Let's take that and throw it out the freaking window and say, okay, the secret isn't 30 runs per game. That's silly. It's all about game flow. All about game flow. That 4th and 1, I was praying. I said, and he just talked about, I don't know if you heard him, but he said it was a toss play. They come to the line, and they have 2 guys on the outside. They can't run the toss, so they can to an inside zone, got stuff. But I'm sitting there on my couch going, please.
You can't pass on a 4th and 1 again, right?
No,
like,
no.
And
please,
I'm one of those guys. That would say it. I'm sorry. I got
you. But I was sitting there going, please run the ball. And I'm looking at the gap. Here's the thing. In my mind, I'm going, can it and throw the football. There's no way you're gaining this first down. I look at the line, I look at the hat count, look at the box. I didn't know it was a toss play. When I heard can, I thought maybe he is going to pass. And as soon as he did, my heart dropped because I'm like, he's going to get crucified if he throws an incomplete pass right here. But it was the right thing to do. Sure enough, they can do an inside zone, get stuffed. And I'm like, thank God they did that. But I want to hear those people that were saying it's 4th and 1, run the ball, run the ball, run. It's about the situation. It's about the flow of the game. Like, and here's the thing, man. What we were talking about in the chat the other day, and it got kind of heated, was people were saying this is McCarthy's offense. This is not McCarthy's offense. They're coming out in ace 12, and when they are in ace 11, they're not even in doubles. What they're on is like a twin set. So you're putting yourself in this tiny little box to try to complete these short passes in these narrow windows, and you're literally drawing the entire defense in with nothing spread about it at all. In the second half of this game, when the passing game opened up, it's because they started spreading the formation out. You ask any defensive coordinator that's got 2 brain cells to rub together, hey, which would you rather prefer in the passing game? Would you rather have to cover a tight split passing game or a widespread passing game? They're going to go, give me the tight split because we can play it from the outside in and contain everything. And to me, that is on the coaches. And that's what Aaron was saying in the interview when he said, I told Matt from the beginning, this offense is flawed. This scheme is flawed. In the West Coast offense that he was brought up in, this West Coast spread with a little bit, McCarthy brung the zone running system into Green Bay. I can't remember. I think he hired Atlanta's offensive line coach that brung in the zone scheme. But within the West Coast offense, there's progressions, there's levels to it. There's ways that you can attack a defense, especially a zone defense like we play primary today. To the best of my knowledge, I've seen a lot of zone defense. But you can't just push the ball down the field through the air with these tight splits. You can't do it. Look, think of this, Jacob. Think of all the days with the New Orleans Saints and what they did with their high-powered offense with Drew Brees back in the day. It was completely spread out, wide split. Look at what Tom Brady and Randy Moss and those guys did in New England. It was wide splits. I'm telling you, that's the key to the passing game. And what they're trying to do is exactly what Darnell Savage does. It's hilarious. It's like a microcosm of the whole situation. They're half in and half out. They won't commit to one thing or the other. And I think most people would say that that's the definition of not having an identity. And that's what it kind of feels like. And that does fall at the feet of the head coach for sure. But at the same time,
Darnell Savage, bro, just sorry to interrupt, but like that guy, I mean, you can just basically key on him in any position of any play, and the guy he makes the wrong one. And it's not even, he'll put his body in the position to make the play. And then he'll just he'll, as a defensive player, juke himself out of the tackle. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Like, when I was playing football as a kid, I remember my coaches like, if you're getting deked out, just look at his waist. The waist doesn't move. You know what I'm saying? The legs and the hips.
It's like Shakira. Hips don't lie.
Yeah, that's so the hips don't lie, bro. By the way, she's under tax evasion, but whatever. I'm just saying, they're just like, he said, like, watch the waistline because everything below or underneath or below or on top of that is going to move, but that will not move. Like, you just got to tackle that. And Savage, man, the guy just looks like he's, like you said, he's on skates, and it's not even like he looks so bad that why would you not just key on him? Why would you not just run every single route, every single run play, everything that ends up developing into his side of the ball? He's either going to overrun it, overshoot it, undershoot it. He's just going to whiff it. He's not. Sign him to a 6-year option is what my Viking fan buddy says.
They're all about it. They want him around forever.
Yeah.
Give him an extension.
Exactly.
We got 12 at the podium, so let's let me flip this back on. Let's go see what 12's got to say here real quick.
We got held on the outside. I'm not sure, but just execution. I like the aggressiveness. 4th and 3, they're going for it, but we got to help our defense out a little bit early in the game. I think when we went on a run back in 16, we started those games faster, so we play more one-dimensionally on defense. We just haven't done that. We haven't put up any points early in the games to get our defense to have a chance to kind of pin ears back and get after the passer.
You obviously play long enough to be able to establish what's kind of garbage time production and actual real tangible signs of growth that can be carried forward. What do you think of plays that Torrey made and already not counting the other some of the other receivers?
Yeah, I don't look at any of that as garbage time, especially when it's 2 possessions. Maybe if it's 3 possessions, that might fall into that category. But I was proud of Samori with his second adjustment there on his touchdown. That's a big moment for the kid. First touchdown in the NFL, pretty special, even though it's in the loss. Like that'll be a good memory for him. And then Amari made a few plays. Unfortunately, the interception, he was wide open for probably another 10 or 11 yard gain. But nice job outside release and making a contested catch down the sideline. So we're going to need that. We had a lot of plays in for Christian this week. So losing him in the first drive obviously didn't help us. And then finding out Alvin was going to play 90 minutes before the game. Similar to last week with Dave, that doesn't help either. That's kind of what's been going on with us. Throw a touchdown to Bobby, get a penalty, come back, have a big kickoff return, have a penalty. Think we're getting all our guys back for a week, and then somebody's out. So nobody feels sorry for us. We got to find a way to get one win. I feel like we can just get one, and the whole momentum changes. I thought we had a great week of practice. The energy in the pregame in the locker room was different. It felt like Packers again. I feel like for whatever reason we didn't have confidence for a few weeks. We weren't playing with a lot of energy. We weren't amped up before the game. So I like the way we felt before the game. Maybe it's Sunday football. Maybe it was being counted out. Maybe it was this environment. But I like that's encouraging. But the play in the first half wasn't very encouraging.
Now with the state of
All right. So the throw to Romeo Doubs, man. You could not throw that football any better. Anybody who says he has lost his accuracy, I'm sorry. Name the quarterback that drops that drop in the bucket like he did to Romeo Doubs. Name him.
I mean, and again, I don't know if it was you or I don't remember which podcast I'm listening to anymore, but this guy's, his accuracy it's on par. His numbers are on par. We're basically looking at this season through a lens of we already know it's going to be a bad season. But if we were to look at through the lens of like maybe we have a 4-2 record or a 6-1 record or whatever that case is, Rodgers' numbers are not that far deviated off of what his numbers would be in that MVP or what we'd call a quote unquote good season, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to take a step back and look at that analytically and think like, okay, is this is the sky falling? Is everything, drastically bad, or is maybe there's just certain situations where we're not capitalizing? And to me, as much as I want to, I jump on the bandwagon sometimes of like, yeah, we got to fire this guy. To me, I didn't like Barry. Now I'm kind of, I don't know. I want to make a hard stance on that. But to me, the whole Rodgers thing is it's not that he's bad. It's not that he all of a sudden doesn't know how to throw. It's not that all this stuff. There's just certain situations that are not giving him confidence. And I think that he's already addressed it. He says that he doesn't quite understand where the rookies are going. But to me, maybe I'm crazy, but he seemed like he kind of said that he likes Amari and he likes Samori Toure, right? In those interviews. So who is he calling out lately in these interviews where he's saying that guys aren't maybe doing their job and they should be? Is it Lazard who's not playing?
No, I'll tell you, my opinion, it wasn't receivers. That's where people missed it.
Do you think it's maybe all line?
I think it was offensive line, Royce Newman. And also, I think it was defense.
Royce Newman, 100%, dude.
Yep.
That's probably what he's saying, like they shouldn't have snaps anymore. And now you look at what's happening there, and you get Tom at left tackle and then Tom at left guard. Boom, you just solve that riddle.
That's what makes sense to me.
But by the way, did Tom not get his butt kicked today? I don't understand how you go from left tackle looking so good to left guard and get put on skates. Like,
bro, and him going up against Ed Oliver, I mean, that ain't no joke. That is what we call a grown man right there. And I mean, he got put on skates, but left guard is much, much different than left tackle. And I'm not saying one's easier than the other. I will say this though, when it comes to scheme, if you're in a spread West Coast style offense, left tackle is the most important position on the offensive line. But the more I study this wide zone boot scheme, I think center is the most important on the entire offensive line. Because left tackle, I mean, when you think about it, it's very seldom that he's getting hit from the left side, even when someone's playing over there where they're getting pressure. It just seems like it's always coming from the front side.
The middle.
It's
actually true when you think. Well, I shouldn't say always true, but it's
And I need to study it. I'm going to study it in the offseason for sure.
And it seems as though that Rodgers is assisting them because lately he seems like he will sense that back end pressure and he immediately steps up. And he will step up. It's like without looking to run. He just steps up thinking that pocket, you know what I'm saying, is going to be there. But he just, I don't know. That's the one thing about, I shouldn't say the one thing, but one of the biggest things about Rodgers this year that I just don't sense confidence from is that his pocket presence. He just seems like the second that anything breaks, he gets fancy feet and he starts just running around and And I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if that's his fault or if it's the fault of younger guys he doesn't trust, but
There was a play too where they played a single high man look, and to me it looked like they were playing. They wasn't playing as much catch as they were. They were giving the outside. They were daring him to throw it outside, and he had Tunyon on a corner route. It wasn't going to be wide open, but it was going to be a throw much like the one to Romeo Doubs there in the back of the end zone. But he couldn't step up and make the throw. He just couldn't. And those are the things that it's easy to go, well, he had a receiver open down the field, just throw it. This isn't Madden. You don't push the Y button and you know what I mean? Like it doesn't work like that. With that being said, though, I was going to say, as far as like the flow of the game, and it's funny because I'm watching it and I'm watching Twitter at the same time. I got the TV. I've got an awesome setup now, by the way, Jacob. I got the 75-inch with the TV live, and then I've got a 50-inch right here on my right, and that's what I do film study with. I've got it intentionally on a 1-minute delay, so I'm seeing it in real time. Oh, I need to see that again, but I don't want to lose my spot, so I go to the 50 and catch the playback, right? And I got Twitter and everything pulled up on the computer. Well, on Twitter, there were people bashing him because he was laughing on the sideline with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon down by 10. And I'm going, what? Last week you were mad because he was rolling his eyes. Like, what is he supposed to do? This guy can't win. He can't win. So let's go to the numbers here real quick. Let's just kind of look at it. He finished 19 of 30 for 203, averaged 6.8, had 2 touchdown passes, 1 interception. Of course, that was the ball that was tipped. I don't put that on Aaron personally. You may call me an apologist, but when a ball is tipped by a defensive lineman, I don't put that on the quarterback personally. 94 or 91.4 rating. Aaron Jones, 20 carries, 143 yards, averaged 7.2 yards a pop.
Real quick, dude, 20 carries. And he still is averaging 7.2 yards. I
think he's the best running back in the game. I do.
I really do. And because of the fact, imagine if he had, I don't know, anybody's offensive line that was actually grading out well. Imagine what Aaron Jones could do if he had 10 yards before he had contact. You know what I'm saying? The dude, I'm pretty sure that he has the yak off the charts. I'm pretty sure he breaks more tackles in a span of 10 yards than any other back that's been in the league for the last 10 years. I've had to pump my brakes on myself because I said, well, why don't we run the ball more, blah, blah, blah. I understand that's a stupid thing to say because, like you said, maybe he got 8 quote unquote runs, but he had 17 touches last week. I understand that. So that's it's utilizing him in a different way, which to me is still utilizing him. What I don't understand is the games where you don't even get the guy, touch the ball in any capacity for 10 times a game. That is where you have something to argue about. That's when you have something to talk about. And honestly, you could maybe make that case for A.J. Dillon, but Dillon this week, again, he had 10 carries for 54 yards. The guy did his job, and he did a lot more of that A.J. Dillon type-esque stuff where he makes initial contact. He drives forward for 3 yards. A guy jumps on his back and he falls forward for another 2 yards. You know what I mean? That's the guy that we wanted. That's the A.J. Dillon that we signed up for. So there's encouraging stuff here. And real quick, I'll Rasul Douglas. That's my dog. If we're going
Oh,
to
yeah.
dog on the week, I mean, that's the guy just, he was there, man. And honestly, Jair too, the guy was making he was talking a lot of smack, and he
Yep.
wrote some checks that he could cash tonight. So
He did. He showed up big time, man.
and
Big time.
if he can be that guy, we need that guy on our Packers defense. Somebody that literally when they start, I mean, Stephon Diggs came up to him in the tunnel when they were running out and started talking smack to him and saying, I'm going to own you in this. So I'm sorry, dude, don't put a quarter in Jair if you don't want him to do that. So Stephon Diggs came out, he said that, and Jair did exactly what I want Jair to do if you put a quarter in him. Yes, exactly. Keep talking smack, keep throwing him down. Yes, 100%.
Well, even it was either last year or Matt LaFleur's first year. He hugged him pregame one time and he said, "Hey, bring that swag that you always bring." That's what he's talking about, that energy. And that was one of the things that was on his scouting report. That is a good thing. I'm just more of the fact of like, if you're getting beat like he got beat last week against Terry McLaurin, shut up and play ball. Well, tonight he backed it up. He showed up tonight big time.
Can I say one other highlight that I really, really was excited about, which Kingsley Enagbare.
Hey, dude, I'm telling you, he's a dog, dude.
Yo, he's going to be good. He's going to be really, really good. He had 2 tackles, 2 solo, 2 tackles for losses. The guy, and he actually whiffed on one, which would be a sack, I think it was, maybe where he just was a little bit out of motion where he couldn't quite make the sack. But the guy, I'm seeing flashes. I'm seeing flashes of somebody that is like, you give him 2 or 3 more years behind a good coach and a good, defensive mindset. I think this guy is really, really good.
And that's what's going to happen, Jacob, because we talked about this extension for Preston Smith, and Preston Smith played great tonight too, man.
He's been so great all season.
He's so good against the run, man. He's so just if anybody runs left outside, I'm going, oh, we're good. Like Preston, he's just got that wingspan. But the beautiful thing about that extension is when we get 2 years into that extension, we're going to get to a point where we can either restructure and free up cap or just cut Preston Smith and free up a ton of cap. And guess who's going to step into that role? Enagbare. So I think it's a great draft pick. So another person that showed up.
You've given in that it's Enagbare. You've six.
At this point, I'm hearing the announcers on national television.
They're saying Enagbare.
I guess
you heard it here.
Yeah, I'm on board. Yeah, I'm with you now. But Jaron Reed, dude, 2 more quarterback hits. The dude's getting pressure on the QB.
This is me shooting off the cuff. I'm pretty sure I saw that they showed he's the 40th out of like 120 D linemen, which I'll take that. Jaron Reed doing that. I mean, hell yeah, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
For what we're paying him, 100%.
You had Jair Alexander and Rasul Douglas both having interceptions, but really the story of the day for me, man, when it comes down to it, I mean, we're at the 48-minute mark, so we'll be wrapping up soon. This flew by. And I appreciate you hopping on with me. Man, for me, I'm coming away encouraged. I felt like they fought. I felt like when Matt LaFleur went into the locker room at halftime, they interviewed him. He said, when he came out, he said, I told him, look, let's just go out here and fight. Let's just go out here and do everything we can in the second half. Let's don't worry about the score. Let's go out here and compete, and let's go fight. And I felt like they did that. So,
honestly, that I think I texted you or maybe I said it there that like I'm just sick of hearing Matt LaFleur, like his words, he just seems like a politician where it's like we got to do the work, we got to make the work be done, we're gonna do it. It's like, bro, you are under the freaking controls of the system. So then when I saw him say that, like you said at halftime, like we're gonna have to put it on these guys, they're gonna have to make the difference, and they did actually fight in the second half. I will put them. I will acknowledge it. In my opinion, they did fight. And who knows, if we make that field goal and we get that onside kick, who knows what this game looks like, I don't know. But I'm just saying.
It's every game, Jacob, it's coming down to 1 or 2 plays. Last week it was the touchdown catch by McLaurin, right, over top of Jair. This week it was the Stephon Diggs touchdown catch over top of Rasul Douglas. We just talked about Rasul had a great game. He'll probably grade out kind of mediocre on PFF. I wouldn't be surprised because of that touchdown catch and a couple other plays, but and penalties as well. But overall, I just like his aggressiveness. He is my favorite DB. He's probably my favorite defensive player.
I think that it's been amazing the fact that he wasn't a 1-year flash. I think he's showing that It was
Absolutely.
a great Goody signing that this year he's not, he's not a showstopper, but he's a very, very solid cornerback.
Dude, I was very, very concerned and very skeptical about that going into the season. Like, that might have just been a fluke. No, he seems legit. And this is what it comes down to. And this is kind of my summing it all up. We were without our top 3 wide receivers. I'm going to say it again. We were without our second best offensive lineman. We were without, in the second half, our top 2 inside linebackers, Jacob.
Yeah.
Think about that.
True.
Like, this was a skeleton crew. And somehow we come out and we hold Josh Allen to 218 passing yards, forced him to throw 2 interceptions. His QB rating was 75.1. We sacked him twice. Like, the running game was what really gashed us. They surprised me with how much they ran. They really did. But
you know what this reminds me of, Clayton?
What's that?
It's a shameless plug. I, in my PFP Packernet Fantasy Podcast episode or league, I'm the leading scorer. I have scored the most points of anyone in the league, but I also have been scored against more than any other person in our league. Therefore, I am second to last place with more points than any other person that's in our league. So that just means that opportunities. You just need to strike when the iron is hot, and sometimes it doesn't fall your way. And this is one of those seasons where what a great year to start a Packers podcast, right?
Bro, I'm telling you, I was thinking
so
earlier
good.
today, I was talking to Mandy and she was like, God, we always have such great seasons. And when you start podcasting, it's like, I was like, this is what I told her. I said, hey, look, if we make it through this year, then we're golden from here on out. We're getting great training on how to handle it for sure. Who do the Packers have next week? Do you know who they got next?
Oh God, don't put me on the spot like that.
I'm trying to look. I'm looking right now. Hold on a second. We get the Lions. We're at the Lions next week.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't make me feel good, man.
That ain't no slam dunk. It ain't a slam. There ain't nothing a slam dunk this year, dude.
No, I'm not taking anything for granted for the rest of the year. 100%. Like, if anything, that to me is the most difficult game we'll face in the rest of our year, because you know how it goes.
Yeah.
We perform against the Bills when we're not supposed to, and we'll underperform against the Lions. That's just Packers 101.
Yeah, we got some juggernauts coming up, man. But, dude, to me, though, I don't look at this season like, oh, this is just an absolutely horrible season. It's like, listen, we're finding out what this team is made of right now. And tonight, I feel like, was a step forward. Like, okay, these guys are going to fight, period. If that second half had went the same way the first half did, I'd be sitting here talking totally different. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're screwed. But the fact that they came out and fought tonight, and like Aaron said, he feels like if we just get that one win. I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs. I ain't saying that. But I know this. We're finding out on this roster. This is the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that he threw 2 touchdown passes to rookie receivers. Think about that.
Right.
Both touchdown passes were to – and Jacob – we're not talking about a first-round rookie receiver, a fourth-rounder and a seventh-rounder.
Seventh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
well,
everything into perspective, right? So, what we're finding is on this roster, okay, who are we going to have on this roster moving forward? Aaron may be here next year. He may not, right? If he is, great. If he ain't, oh, well, time marches on. But who on this roster wants to freaking stay? Who wants to be a part of the Packers organization moving forward? And we're finding out. You find that out when you're getting your nose bloodied in the second half in Buffalo, period. But that's all I got, man. You got anything you want to add to this before we wrap this thing up?
Man, I do, but I don't want to say it. All right, I'll go there real quick. I do think that this year is one of those weird years where if we had Jordan Love, just because he would do exactly what he was told, he would play within the system, he would be trying to, string guys out for a fade and blah, blah, blah. I think that this is the year, if we had a Jordan Love or insert any vanilla quarterback, that we would probably be at least a 4-3 team, at least a 5-3. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm done with Rodgers. I'm just saying that I'm ready for a new regime, because it seems as if that they're counteracting each other as far as what the scheme and what the quarterback wants to do. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say any more. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
I got you, dude. Hey, I respect it. You're not the only one that feels that way. I promise you that. Again,
we can humbly disagree. This is how it goes,
absolutely.
guys. You don't just like hate each other immediately because you have disagreeing facts, right? You just
you don't
have a
just,
drink and then move on with your life. Yeah,
you don't try to ruin each other's life because you disagree with policies.
Jeepers,
I said it. Oh no, we got too close. Anyway, all right, so that's it. Again, the Packers drop a tough one here in Buffalo, 27-17. If I'm getting on your if I'm getting on your nerves for being upbeat and happy and I wouldn't say satisfied, but I'm proud of this team, man. I'm proud of the way they played tonight. They fought back. They did everything they could, and again, without your top 3 receivers, without your second best offensive lineman, without your top 2 inside linebackers, and they went out there and scrapped with arguably the best team in the league, dude. Bring on Detroit. I'm ready for some more football next Sunday, and I'll be right here. So, with that, though, dude, Jacob, thank you so much for hopping on, dude. That makes things a lot easier when you got somebody on here to talk to. Because it's funny, I turned positive when you got on here. It might have went dark if you hadn't joined, so you never know.
You know me, always positive.
All right, guys. Again, Bills come away 27-17. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. For those of you that's listening to this on Monday afternoon, hope you guys have a great work day. And, take care of yourself. And if you guys need anything, hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on email at Packers Total Access at gmail.com. And we will be back tomorrow night live on Twitter and YouTube with Coach Hahn, kind of doing a game review and talk about some crucial moments, kind of expanding a little bit of chalk talk, not as detailed on individual plays, but just kind of talking about.
Clayton, what time are you doing that?
Should be at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I think is the plan.
Can we do a mashup? Because we usually record our fantasy football podcast around that time. At least just maybe do like a 10-minute mashup or something like that, where we could get you and Coach in.
Yeah, but let me talk.
We talk Packers for the first half of the podcast. That's our thing. So, anyways, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, the only thing is we've got to come up with some footage, and he and I are going to discuss specifically what we're going to cover as far as the keys to the game and everything. I think it would be awesome moving forward. I just don't know if we'll have enough time to do it tomorrow. But
all right, fine, anyway. Clayton. I guess we won't have you on our podcast. Fine.
Just hit you with that A.J. Dillon stiff arm there. So, anyway, guys, like I said, y'all have a great Monday afternoon. Appreciate you downloading and listening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
Thanks.
Inches to go. DeVader. 17-14. Cowboys out in front. Starr begins the count. Takes the snap.
Middle risk. Pass is picked off. Tramon Williams, and he may go. They tried to bite off more yardage, and they just got burned. On 3rd down and 5, pressure. Pass is picked off, and who is it? Big B.J. Raji for the touchdown. Pump fake. Wallace picked off. Nick Collins on the return inside the 10. Leaps for the touchdown.